Hey, what's up, Toby? We made it another week.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, we are actually very excited today because we have a killer topic, and two, we have a killer guest. And
Absolutely.
today's topic is the hidden cost of unsanctioned AI, how to avoid AI assisted process debt, which I love this topic. Love this topic. And today our guest is Chris Carolan. Chris is a HubSpot expert. When first of all, he reached out, and then what you do is, in today's age, you basically go to the internet and figure out who these people are. Essentially, Chris Carolan is a killer producer of content in the HubSpot ecosystem. And so, hey, Chris, it's great to have you.
Accurate. Great to be here.
Very good. So
Really?
you are the co-author of Surviving the SaaSpocalypse. You've built the AI native shift framework. You've basically hosted over 1,000 live conversations, helping leaders move from the industrial age systems to native AI operations. You're a mentor inside the HubSpot ecosystem and have been a HubSpot solutions partner since 2023. Welcome, man.
Thanks. Really happy to be here. Excited to talk about this with other folks that understand the process side of things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
glad
cool.
to have you.
Did I miss anything in your intro?
No, I think you nailed it. Yep. I'll just say that co-authoring of the SaaS apocalypse, co-authoring like AI is on the other
Oh, yeah.
side. We try to give credit where credit's due.
AI is your co-author, as is a lot of AI when it comes to our emails, etc.
Yes.
Very
Indeed.
cool.
Hey, let me ask before we move on really quick. That the idea of crediting AI is really interesting to me because I don't credit my Word document traditionally for having played a role in writing. What feels different, Chris? I think you're living in a different place than I am.
Yeah, I think just the transparency is everything, and like just getting out in front of it, leaning on it when needed, I think is helpful. But just to help, like, all right, if you appreciate the fact that AI is probably involved, then maybe you want to continue clicking on this or reading this. And if
Yeah.
you don't like that part, like maybe it's not for you.
Nice. So it gives folks a kind of a bright line.
Yeah.
Recognize that AI has played a larger hand than just a tool.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Love it. Well, Terrill, you're welcome to jump in that you've got another
Well, I was just
topic. I was
thinking,
just curious about that. It's an important distinction that you make.
I think it's interesting. I think that there will be two types of people when it comes to AI assistance. There's the people that basically like, hey, look, this is a tool and I use it. And then there's going to be the other people that want to be the gurus that use it and don't share. Right.
Yeah.
I think that distinction from a transparency and even a human standpoint, it's very important that we lean into the fact that it's a tool. We're going to use it or not use it, but we're standing on the shoulders of giants when it comes to AI. Like the giants, the human race created the internet and therefore built up a huge knowledge base. And then corporations figured out how to monetize it. And so here we are.
So let's have some fun.
Some fun. So let's talk about, like, you do multiple live streams a day, which is amazing. What has changed with AI? Like, how do we not follow industrial models versus what's coming at us? I really want to dig into that.
Yeah. Um, like so the everything I'm doing right now with Value First and AI native shift, like it started with a conversation like with Claude at the end of 24, where I was like sharing how I felt for a while in terms of how business to business organizations work and market. I was a former marketing leader. at organizations and the amount of disconnect and dysfunction that usually gets in the way of any ERP, HubSpot, CRM, whatever it is. It's almost never the fault of the product, right? It's folks that don't know how to speak the same language and, are misaligned. So I was like, look, Claude, every time I hear the word lead, like I want to lose my mind, and like I know that bad decisions are being made in this conversation where we're talking about leads. So if it were up to you, AI native perspective, what would an organization look like? Not marketing, sales, whatever. Like, tell me what that would look like. And it came back with, I had no idea what it was talking about. So I was like, all right, we might be onto something here.
That's a sign that you're on the cusp of learning something really important.
Right. Yeah.
Whether you agree or disagree, you're about to learn something important. I love it.
Right.
So instead of our traditional functional view.
Yeah. With the premise, and of course, starting with first principle here, like, do not get in the way of value flow. Like, find the value and don't get in the way, like enable it. And when you look at all of our business systems, all of our qualifying systems, how we bring in emails, and then just, we get in the way as much as possible, whether it's, KPIs, or you got to fill out this 20 field form just so I know which of my reps to give it to, not because we actually need the data for any other reason. Get in the way of that value constantly. And that resonated with me a lot. So I started building out this framework where it is like, you got to throw it all away. Like, like almost everything you've learned about how you show up in the business domain is based on this like scarcity model where information was not abundant and you could hold that back from somebody to try and profit from it.
Yeah.
And that's almost, AI puts it on all of our phones, right?
Yeah.
Carolan, can you give me an example? And I'm gonna reference as we have two Chris's by last name. Carolan, can you give me an example of that shift? Because I think a lot of us, and certainly myself, are familiar with what you just described. Somebody comes out to a web page, and to access what our expertise is, we require them to fill out a form. And then it gets routed, and somebody returns a call or sends an email. And then there's a prolonged sales discussion and the dance of what exactly do you want from us? And then how do I price that? And then hopefully we get to a point of agreement and the knowledge and expertise is transferred. So I think that's probably that. And to your point, that moves through a handful of different functions inside of a company. And so not getting in the way of the value flow is super interesting. And I immediately go to whatever you want, here it is. But that leaves out the economic element of it. So, so talk to me about, how do you create value for both parties as a result of this Claude conversation? This is really interesting to me.
Yeah. It comes back to just humanizing the process.
Yeah.
And like when Salesforce introduced the leads object in 2000, that was the moment they dehumanized the process. So we got a bunch of data in our system, can't give it to sales yet because we're not sure if it's good. So let's build teams and everything in the way of the people with the expertise talking to the people who are now leads. And when I joined a material science equipment manufacturer in 2020, Rigaku, like people wanted more leads, of course, but there was also as soon as we get them in the door, like we close them. Like we know our stuff. We have some of the best scientists in the world. And all we have to do is get the conversation. I'm like, guess what, folks? I need to bring that over here. Like, what do you have in marketing speak on your behalf for? Right. And I had one, gentleman like understand that. And one of the first things we did, it's called Pharma Lab Live. It was like, hey, we're going to go in. If you think this is a problem that people don't know about this thing, we're going to go into the lab, sit down for 15 minutes. You're just going to show how it's done. We didn't have great lighting. Like audio wasn't figured out. But what, like in the next week, we had the
Mm.
VP of sales say, hey, my new, like this, we're closing this deal and now they want some of this thing. That was what that video was about. It was like hundreds of dollars, right? But the way that it just kind of put expertise in front, like that's where the value is needed, right? That's the shift in terms of I am raising my hand for something at some point. And before that happened, it was known that folks really needed to start talking to the application scientists as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But guess what? The lead came in. I got to have a call with the salesperson first. And then you get to talk to the application scientist. Right. And that like spread through like compensation metrics and all this stuff where it's like, we could not get out of our own way to like, now there were some teams that could, and you could see a difference in like the kinds of relationships that they were building with customers.
Yeah.
Right. Which led to, they had an understanding where it's okay if the salesperson doesn't talk to them first. And it's also okay if we talk to them first, because we're not going to try and, sell something we're not supposed to sell, or, you know how it goes. Like, we know that if we all solve for this customer's or this buyer's pain right now, as soon as possible, that's going to be better, like going forward.
It's interesting because we're talking about the industrial age, right? And so I'm going back to the 1900s where Toby and I grew up. And I'm thinking about how important it was to have the marketing function, meaning a big sign. Like a big sign meant something because you could afford the sign, right? That was important. And it was social proof of expertise, right? It was a social proof of success, right? Fast
Big
forward.
yellow page ad.
Yeah, a yellow page ad meant that you could actually drop some coin. And a yellow page ad for you young people is basically how we advertised. I have purchased a yellow page ad in my past. Anyway, but Google it, Google yellow page. But what I'm thinking about is now we have more access to more expertise. And so does that diminish marketing? Right? Does that diminish? And diminish is probably the wrong word. It changes how marketing should be used, because to your point, you got $100 YouTube video that's terrible that people love because it's presenting the value that needs to be value to the right people at the right time. And the other thing, the other thing that I'm interested in is like, there's that value at lead. Right? Leads, there needs to be value. There needs to be some sort of financial transaction. Within those organizations, I think a lot of process debt lives within not knowing who your internal customers are and how that internal value flows, right? Because you get an order and that pulls something through the system, but that's got to pull through that entire internal ecosystem, of which a lot of times there's just political infighting, and that doesn't serve anyone, right?
Yeah. Oh man. At my last in-house gig, this is why I was asked to leave.
That can happen. That can happen.
It happens.
Like an organization decides that it has created just a world-changing thing, which in their case it was, right?
Yeah.
There's all this like NFP regulation. There's all these things in the way. That's like, all right, we got to handle this first, even though every human that sees this thing agrees that we should just replace the old model like right now.
Yeah.
Right. We've got to go through all these mechanisms. But to do that in this digital space, like you got to own your own narrative. Like that's what marketing, like first and foremost. Like, does everybody understand what we do and the value we provide? Right.
Yeah.
Then what if the previous world was we let our distributors do that, which like is not under our control at all. And how are we educating them? Right.
Okay.
Do they even know how to use LinkedIn? Right. They welcomed this new reality where it's like, hey, for the product itself, as a manufacturer, we need to own that. That's us. Like,
Yeah.
you guys are the value add, the
Yep.
application of it, your relationships. Like, you go do that, right? Cool. I got agreement from the distributors before I got agreement from the internal salesperson, right? And the sales leader who was responsible for the majority of the revenue.
Yeah.
And that was related to like, the lack of visibility and communication inside of
Yep.
the organization,
Yep.
right? And then in it, but it did for me, it didn't change the fact of how well somebody who's like, yeah, LinkedIn's not for us,
Yeah.
in the space of 3 months was doing posts on LinkedIn that internally we wish we could have done. They were brilliant, kind of humanizing this product in a way that's like, that's who they are. That's what their voice was, right? And watching that happen, like, you just have to go to where your audience is. And I think the challenge of things like LinkedIn is like 90+% are lurkers. So until you see them at the next event and they say, oh man, I watched all your stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have any metrics that are telling me that, but let me bring my boss over so you can tell him.
Yeah. Let's zero this in on kind of your current work, which is really around HubSpot. And what's the number one contributing factor to people not getting value out of HubSpot?
It's definitely awareness. In terms of, and not like, this is a moment where you have to be careful with AI training data.
Sure.
Like, if we were to ask any human right now, what's HubSpot for? They would say definitely marketing, maybe marketing and sales, CRM, right? AI says the same thing. When I asked Claude how to overcome that, he said, stop using the word HubSpot. Like, find a different word.
Interesting.
And it
Use
was
the same product, but call it something different.
right. And I think this speaks to like the category creation they were attempting with stuff like customer platform. And I had already said customer value platform was actually what we're delivering. Because the challenge has been, and a lot of times my role in any engagement is like, yep, that common sense thing that you're thinking about.
Sure.
Yeah, you can do that in HubSpot. And doesn't mean we got to replace your other backend system.
Yep.
But everybody that's customer facing, that's working over here and wants that information, and you don't want them logging into the backend system, that's why we put it over here. And that's okay. And as you do that, you have to throw away things like single source of truth and all of these, these right ways to do IT. And the only way we can get away with that really is AI putting in a position to help transform names of organizations as they go from
Sure.
front end system to back end system.
Sure.
And make that like, when we have a moment, and I'm like, let's bring in the finance team as quickly as possible because they're going to be impacted by this in some way.
Yeah.
And when you can show everybody, so much of this is just giving humans permission to do it in a way that's common sense and not the way that the tool says you're supposed to do it. When you can look at one human contact record and their related company, and let's say the related company has like 5 different company name fields, because there's the one that came through in the W-9 and in the tax one, and the one that our accounting system need, and the
Right.
one that our sales team is required to put on the quotes because that's how they felt like doing it. And that's the only way we get the deal, right?
That's
We
awesome.
have not integrated systems for that reason alone. And then you get asked the question, well, how many customers do we have? And nobody can answer because we sold over here. We can't tell exactly who paid. And that's somehow okay because this is the system of record and it's dollars and cents, and it needs to be protected, even though the data in there is not great, either. Right. So overcoming and giving folks permission, like, do not let the systems decide what your process is.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
that's where it took me a minute to understand that the best sales folks have never latched on to digital for that reason. Like, they know how to engage, begin a relationship, build a trusted relationship, and sell, and they don't need any technology at all to do that, right? And when you start to apply this and you start to get in their way in any of these ways that we're talking about, they're like, I'll let you know when the deal is done. Like,
You know what I've never heard from a salesperson? Man, I love our CRM system. It's a statement that never gets said because there is this strong management reporting requirement that gets in the way of very good systems. And it doesn't matter if we're talking HubSpot, Salesforce, it literally doesn't matter. It's just, we build these systems that are hard, and then we make them more complex and make them harder. And then we realize it's not working. And then we go back to the financials to see who actually closed the deals. And to your point, sometimes it's the people not using the systems.
yeah, often it is. And sometimes you have two rock stars. One is, one isn't.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say, like, well, you got to start using it. Like, I'm making all the money over here.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, that always wins. Right? Like, of course it does.
Sure.
And this speaks to like tying into like the difference between industrial and AI. Like, AI doesn't like unnecessary complexity. Like, it smashes it if you allow it to. It will definitely help you create more of it.
Yeah.
But when I started using these terms like lead, MQL, SQL, I would have to explain it in every conversation.
Say what those, define what those are.
Right. So lead, marketing qualified lead, MQL, sales qualified lead, SQL.
Yep. Got it.
And when AI doesn't even automatically respond with the right acronym, it like comes up with other meanings of MQL. I'm like, okay, this is like validating. Like, now we've got to change the language.
Yeah.
And where I got to was like, what if we just use words like audience, researcher, hand raiser, buyer? Like, and that's what we saw.
Say those one more time, because I think that's a shift from
It's a huge shift.
what we've talked as far as industrial sales, right?
Right. And it's audience, researcher, hand raiser, and buyer. Right.
That is,
and those are place, lead, MQL, SQL, opportunity. Right. And guess what? I don't have to explain in every meeting. It's sales or marketing or leadership or AI. Like, you look up the word audience in any dictionary, it's going to have the same definition. And when, like, this is one of those moments where I was like, God damn, how's this not going to hit? Like, it's so amazing. Like, but then there's like space to where you got to try it. But the moment I could get a leader to not delegate the HubSpot project was like, all right, this is what we've been missing. I do that through something called the Unified Customer View, which is it's like an outcome that is very hard to debate that it's a good thing for the business. Almost no business has it, like outside of the slide deck that was prepared at the 25th hour like for the boardroom, right? Which is immediately out of date. But everybody can align on that being a good outcome. And once you have that, now you have a decision-making framework. Is the thing going to help us get to the unified customer view? Like, or not? Let's not worry about the how, because AI can help us with any form of how.
Yeah.
But we have to put and understand that it's not going to be the same for everybody. Like, which user needs the unified customer view? What do they need it for? The only way to understand a unified customer view is if you know where they are in the journey. And that's where those stages, like if I see those 4 words, and by the way, like hand raiser and buyer, we already use those words.
Yeah.
They're just never in the CRM for some reason. It's crazy.
So when you say unified customer view, help me tie that back to those concepts of audience, researcher, hand raiser, buyer.
Good call.
Yeah. So like timing and relevance, I think have become like everything in terms of, marketing and sales have always wanted to understand, like, did you send an email? Can I send this email? I don't know. Oh man, I got on this call and they just had something for marketing, or they just posted a ticket and they're pissed off and now I'm walking into the hornet's nest. Like
Right.
all of that visibility, like you start to narrow it down where you're not looking at all of the context, like based on where they are in their journey. So if you know somebody's an audience, that's somebody who we have decided, not dissimilar from like, ICPs, just the people that should want to engage and be interested or might have the problem that we're trying to solve, right? If they're researchers, they're engaged in content, in like direct engagement, not indirect, right? Hand raiser needs to be hand raiser. It needs to be, I want to talk to somebody right now, not I downloaded something, right?
Mhm.
I am raising my hand and I need help, right? If you give me that help, now I'm buying, and there might be 5 other people in the org with me that also need to be bought in, and they need to be seen. Like, have we gotten them to the buyer stage yet? Right. So it chooses to move the complexity into the place where AI can actually help you. Because most folks go wrong where they try to shove all of this context into a single record because they think the idea of more records and more associations is like, oh, it's too hard to think about it. We've been keeping it simple in the wrong spot, right?
Yeah.
This layering these frameworks is designed to say, hey, we can give you that one window that you've been looking for, but there's a lot of complexity underneath. We can support it, but you gotta tell us what the process, how it actually goes, without the system saying this is how you're supposed to do it, so you can get to these life cycle reports.
Yeah.
Carolyn, this is I appreciate you walking through the distinctions of what the different terms, how those different terms fit. It makes me think about if I accidentally pause on something in a social media feed, then I'm inundated with the 47 other competitors who also have the similar schlock. And often AI stuff right now is just it's used to produce enormous volumes of content.
Yep.
Which means then it clogs up all of our business process as we try to vet it before we release it. And so now, we were talking before the show a little bit about, it's gone rogue and shit's getting splattered everywhere and nobody's in charge, or somebody's trying to manage it. And it's an impossible task because we can produce so much more than people consume.
Yeah.
So back at the start, you were saying people don't want to talk with sales. They don't want to dig through marketing stuff. They just want to talk with the scientists. They want to talk with the hands-on expert that can solve their pain. So as you're thinking about this kind of unified view, how do you make that more seamless? Because some of this still sounds like some of the same functional groups, but I want to draw these two pieces together because I think you've touched on something maybe unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has worked. Like, it's easy to market a unified customer view, and even that is not, that revolutionary. HubSpot, like 360-degree view, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
But much harder to implement when you have to get other teams with that data, like, on board. And if we can just be speaking from the same place in any given moment, to where anybody who's responsible for that point in the journey knows how to, knows where to go to confirm the context. And then that place also tells them which action to take and how to take it. So if I'm sales and I get a signal from LinkedIn, right? And this is like marketing organizations are not built to do this right now because it's a dramatic shift from what they've been asked to do previously. Like get that signal in front of the salesperson as quickly as possible with the context around it to know that this came from LinkedIn. That doesn't mean they're going to respond to a call or an email. But we're betting if you go onto LinkedIn and respond directly to their comment on LinkedIn, that could be the quickest sales, conversation that you've had in months. Right? Like, can we respond to the signal with the appropriate value required? And in that moment, obviously that's a specific scenario where even the most generic company post, it's like, hey, we do this thing. How often does somebody ask a question that goes unanswered because marketing is the only one paying attention to those, and then we become noise very quickly. Right? If marketing can point to the salesperson or scientist or whoever can actually answer the question, now that person got the value in that moment that they asked for, and now they might ask for more.
It's interesting because you're talking essentially what I hear you saying, and I'm going to try to translate a little bit, is we've outsourced the inputs and the outputs of our silos, right? Meaning marketing is responsible for getting information, which they outsource the getting of that information. Then they do their thing, and then they basically just shovel stuff downstream because that's what that one component is expected to do. And what you're talking about, I think, is the unraveling of that and the rethinking of like, how do we get the quickest value through the stream, right? Versus damming the whole thing up and, and killing our salmon population, which has nothing to do with anything, but I thought it would
By
sound
salmon, you
good.
mean revenue fish?
Yeah, something like that.
Tasty revenue fish.
Revenue fish get blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not like, I love to use the events analogy, like in-person events. It's still hard to make it real and feel like it could be real inside of a digital system.
Yeah.
But it's like, if I were a marketer and we're taking turns at the booth, right? And the requests that I get for help that I cannot handle, I'm like, oh, wait. Hey, let me go get my engineer over here. And they'll be like, just sit tight. Like, we need to be able to do that digitally. And instead, it's like, imagine the engineer like within like shouting distance. And we're like, let me just get your business card. Like, and I will have the engineer like get back to you. When when any folks like, oh man, I could have helped that person. Like, how upset like do they get? And the bridge is moving away from like nurture sequences and scoring, and like the value for sales and for the organization is, can we find the signal, which AI can help us have all the signals, and then deliver it with the context required to the folks who can respond. Marketing cannot decide which signals to do that with on their own. And that's where I've seen this year, like my value is often bringing like, hey guys, if we can't get the leader of marketing to say, hey, leader of sales, we've got these new signals just flowing into HubSpot. Like we think it's pretty important. I want to be able to take one, send it to you in Teams or email and say, hey, would this be good? And could you just email them right now?
Sure.
Like it looks like if this happened at an event, like it's the highest performing opportunity or quickest to convert, like to where we would not think twice about how we're going to respond. It would just be like, all right, we're not even going to do qualifying call. Like, you're ready right now. Let me get a quote ready for you and try to close it right there. There's some events where folks do that at the event.
What's interesting is the old, industrial age model is you're at that event and you have a list of all of the the event attendees, and you're just calling them, right? And someone comes up to the booth and you're like, where are you at on the list? Oh, I'm not ready for you yet. Right. And so what you're saying is just move that value stream by having cross-departmental conversations on how to expedite those ones that fall outside of this typical marketing funnel. And it's a really good call out. It's very interesting. And I love your definition of just kind of, the people in the process, right? Where, like, to your point, like something that you brought up that I've never even considered is like, if you ask AI what an acronym is and they come back with 12 or don't know, it's problematic. It's non-human, right? Like someone has marketed something that may or may not bring value. All right. Last topic. So we have AI, right? We have to decide to be, humans only, hybrid, human and AI, or AI only. But go on your mark, get set, rant.
Man, when I first started seeing software companies say AI first, I was like, oh my God, can you figure out a way to piss off a human faster? Like, first of all, but then the counter to it is human first. And it's like, folks, this is infrastructure. It's like electricity. And you could choose to not use electricity to do your thing, but if you do that, you're going to fall behind. You might not be able to get the talent you're looking to get. You won't be able to respond fast enough. Like all of the buyer expectations, like good luck solving for that, unless they specifically are looking for the human first logo, which maybe there are some, but it's like, are you usually being intentional with that choice? No, you're not.
Yeah.
So understanding that this is, and I did a piece of content that focused on the AI orchestrator, like role that was starting to pop up. And I had Trisha Merriam, who I did the content with, she went into Claude and got her template. And then I went into my Claude environment and got my template.
Yeah.
Hers was basically, you have to know how to do these 50 different acronyms.
Yeah.
That are all technical and no namespaces and LLMs and all this stuff. Nothing to do with humans.
Yeah.
Mine was like somebody, it doesn't have to be one, but the folks who are implementing and owning AI have to manage humans.
Yeah.
That it's not about how AI works. It's about how humans work with AI.
Yeah.
And if you're AI leader, like it's a huge trap otherwise. And we're seeing companies like roll back all the layoffs and having so much trouble getting, like seeing direct profitability from AI.
Yeah.
And, it would be nice if we could get to 100% autonomy. And like, do you know how hard that is with ones and zeros on the other side of the wall?
Yeah.
Now you have a human who is non-deterministic, matched with AI who is non-deterministic. Like the moment you try to shoot for like AI only, like you just the last mile to try to go for error free.
That is so well put, because like, if you think about transportation, right? Like last mile is super easy if you're next to the Amazon warehouse, right? If you're out in the boonies, it's expensive, it's cheap. And that's why, like, a lot of times will outsource that to like USPS, because USPS goes there all the time, right? Like that last mile of getting that AI thing. And I'm going to rant for just 2 seconds here because this has a really good corollary within manufacturing. In manufacturing, it's like stockouts, right? And so if you don't sell something, right, that's lost revenue, right? And so that works really well up to, use sigmas to figure this out. But eventually you get to, it gets prohibitively expensive to basically have no stockouts, right? You should not have stockouts on your A movers. On your D and C movers, you probably shouldn't care, right? Because the reality is those are ordered so frequently, but people think that last percent is prohibitively expensive. And I think we're gonna see that in the AI space as well.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who's built with AI, like you get excited that the one shot like worked super well,
Yeah.
but now everything has to go through the AI because you have no idea how it built it or how it works. And that means you're like, oh man, I need this piece of data. Like just change
Yeah.
that. And then it
Yeah.
changes something. And now you're like, it's weeks
Yeah.
to get it right.
Yep.
When instead, like, and like a part of the AI native shift framework is this 5-layer system where layer 1, data context, layer 2, the customer value model,
Yeah.
layer 3, intelligence, layer 4, data or governance and automation, and then layer 5 is the UI layer, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even as I was putting it together, it took me a minute to realize intelligence layer is not new.
Mm.
It's just been coming from humans.
Yeah.
And now when people decide like, hey, like, oh, we need an intelligence strategy.
Yeah.
Why would you do that without the original intelligence? Like, and when you can accept that up front, wow, you
Yeah.
can get to a 95% automated process really damn quickly.
Yeah.
You just can't do it without the human who knows what the hell's going on in that process. And when you guys, I'm sure when you guys say like, hey, tell me about your process, right? And they're like, oh, it's just a few clicks, just these 3 steps. They're like, oh, okay, can you just show me, pull it up on the screen? It's like, they start opening up tabs left and right. They're calling different departments to get things done. It's like 25 steps,
Wait a second. I thought that was
right?
just us.
Right. And it's crazy, but it also like makes us understand why or helps us understand why the concept of context
Yeah.
is so challenging. It's just,
Yeah.
it's built within us. It's what we do is we manage context all the time.
Absolutely.
Right. And what I've tried, like something I'm playing with right now is like you thought tribal knowledge like is a bad thing, key person risk. What if we just saw that tribal knowledge and turned it into human domain expertise?
Yeah.
And now that person just shifts their value to building 95% automation everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's, and I only know this from experience of trying to set up, I have 100 agents in my org and I still haven't automated anything because whenever I try, like the ability to make it come back with exactly what I need at the right time and have me know, like, wow, out of sight, out of mind, that is a huge impact when you try to think you can automate the thing, right?
That's incredible. I love that. I love that. I love that concept. Let's kind of wrap it up here. So what we want to do is Toby and I have been noodling on this process of one piece flow in knowledge work, which is not really around pieces of work, but around the piece of doing work. And so what is your one piece as an object of work that is peaceful, that gives you peace in just reaching flow?
You got to understand the value at any given point in the process. And if you've been assigning value to time or effort or dollars,
Yeah.
like folks are having a tough time right now. You got to sit down as a business and define what value looks like.
Yeah.
And if the value is the relationship with the human, which in most businesses, like I'd say 99.9%, like you look at that. All right, when does that relationship actually start? And let's start designing from that point instead of the first point that they talk to a salesperson, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I like that a lot because it basically shows that you have like a peaceful flow buffer, which says, look, not everything that comes to me, whether text messages, whether invites to be on a podcast, whatever, does not all hold the same value. And so if you can pull your work through that value filter, you can reach flow a lot easier.
Yeah. And AI will
Excellent.
help you do that.
Very cool.
Just
Well,
give it the guardrails.
well, Chris, how can people find you?
I'm on LinkedIn every day. Chris Carolan.
We will put Chris's info in here. You also have a website.
Yeah, valuefirstteam.com is one of many. I started by creating like 1,000-page website, and just because I could with all the content, and now I've kind of split it out into all these different websites.
Very cool.
Trying that. So
we will link Chris's information in this podcast view and also in our blog. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Awesome.
yeah, I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for
Appreciate the
joining.
work that you guys are doing.
Yeah, it's great to have you.